every time you start yourself. Every time you start yourself.
No, I'm sick
Oh,
of
you put like a little chalk color on?
it's hot. Pretty sure I don't want to do that.
How long train you to stop saying?
Pretty sure it's
She's
just
like, so.
Good that you know about Pavlov. By the way, speaking of Pavlov, everybody know what Pavlov is? Pavlov was a famous psychologist that did experiments on dogs.
Oh.
Yep. So like he'd pair food with a bell, and he conditioned the dogs to start to salivate on the bell, not on the smelling the food.
There's a guy who trained his cat using the same.
fire.
Yeah. So anytime the cat smelled smoke, like saw fire, they would like run and press the
Did that on August too.
That's very helpful. So like that. Did we start? Oh,
Yeah.
So all of that to tell you that we are bringing psychology back to be taught here, not by me, next year. So all of you that put psychology 1 or 2 or something like that. And I just got to tell you, I mean, and I am not going to be teaching it, but I know who is, and she's awful. But it is a really good class. It's a really good class, and I am a firm believer that it is important for Christian school students to take psychology while they're in a place where they'll be taught from a Christian worldview, because it will be way different once you go. And most college students take a psychology class, and it'll be way different if you're in a secular school, a secular university, than it will be here. Yes.
I have a few textbooks that, because my aunt took a lot of psychology classes in college, they're like littered with evolution stuff. Like littered. It's to the point where it becomes like why does that even fit there? This has nothing to do with it. So it's
Yeah, when we decided to teach psychology, they tasked me with finding the book, and I looked through several books that were not from a Christian perspective, because I was having trouble finding one from a Christian perspective, and I was kind of triggered by the stuff that was in there in the pictures. I'm like, no, we can't show this. So yeah, it's very, very different. Yes.
Yep. You know who's teaching it?
I do know who's teaching.
Maybe.
No, not yet.
Is it someone we don't know yet? I'm guessing. We don't know.
So there you go.
Period. I did hear you say she.
So let's look at these Embolden questions for chapter 9. So you can't really answer this yet, or at least as well as you will be able to, but maybe some of you know. What do you know about the historical reliability of the New Testament? Yes.
Compared to lots of other things, it's historically reliable.
Okay. Yes. Right.
By a lot of secular historians, this is
Considered by
a lot of secular historians.
that in saying it's reliable, saying that what we read today is the same thing that was written back then. Not necessarily saying it's true.
It's historically
Right.
accurate.
It's changed the least.
Right. Absolutely. And we will talk about that. Yes.
It's also validated by other
Yeah, there are other historians that were not believers that tell the same basic story. So that's important in this. What, if any, value does a proper understanding of history have on a person's view of the New Testament? Yes.
It kind of helps to reassure your faith. Knowing that, this is, there's lots of stuff saying it's not reliable at all. So having the knowledge that yes, their Bible, mission trust is very important.
Right. What else? Yes.
Well, if you know a lot about history, you know that this basically the evidence we have for the validity of the New Testament is it's more than most evidence we have for other events. So if you know history, you know that if anything is true, it's probably like if anything is historically true, it's got to be the New Testament itself. The Bible itself has so much because of the Dead Sea Scrolls and all of the historical um, writings we recover. It's like in the thousands. So if anything is historically true, it's
Yeah, I believe that there's more cause to believe in not only the reliability but the veracity, the truthfulness for the New Testament than anything else in history. In fact, if we're going to throw out the Bible as being unreliable, we're going to have to throw out a whole bunch of other stuff as well. And there are non-Christian authors and historians, ancient authors and historians that tell the same basic story about Jesus and his life as the Bible does. So have you heard this term revisionist history? So that you look back at history and you make a completely different sort of story, a completely different sort of narrative for history. Yeah.
The idea like ideas,
Yeah.
kind of like the war or something, and the way it's going to be remembered is however you want it to.
Right. And there's a whole other side to that story. So that whole idea of and we talked about this last week, but that whole idea about the Roman Empire becoming a Christian, extraordinarily loosely, a Christian empire, and then there's this power struggle, and the Roman Empire decided which books would be in the Bible, and this power struggle. Complete false narrative. That is revisionist history. It is not what happened, and you'll know more this year and then again next year about how do we get the Bible and how do we know that when we open up that Bible that it says what Paul wrote or what Peter wrote or what Mark wrote. How do we know that that's the same thing? And you'll get lots of input on that. Yeah. Part of the problem is, and this is getting worse since I wrote this down 8 years ago, that people believe what they hear. Sometimes now, I got a treadmill. I got a free treadmill from my favorite student because the family gave me a free treadmill. And I've been using that thing. I've been using that thing, Grace. And when I'm walking, I play music, mostly worship music. I also sing. Nobody's around, so it's fine. And I try not to do this because I don't want to fall off. Every once in a while, though, Grace, when I'm wanting to move up, like you know how it says like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you're supposed to hit the arrow to make it go up just a little bit. Yeah. A couple of times I've hit 8, and the thing starts going like this, and I'm going, no, and I'm pedaling as fast as I can and hit and stop, and oh my gosh! So hopefully I don't kill myself on the treadmill. But as I listen to YouTube. I listen to worship music on YouTube, and what happens between every song? An ad. saying, I know all the doctors say that this is what you need to do to lose weight, but trust me, I'm going to tell you.
No.
You
Have you seen the one about like the
This one secret will change your life.
That's right, exactly.
Like one thing below.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest,
You
this
ever
guy,
heard about the
I don't think weight loss
No, you don't
all
need
those
it.
cardios just
It's
dying.
So,
I did less.
so here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. There's a whole lot of misinformation out there, and we need to know what is true. And there's a whole lot of misinformation about the Bible, how we got it, how reliable it is, and so we're going to be spending a lot of time finding out how do we know that the Bible is reliable. Yes.
So I saw this guy on YouTube, and he dresses up like Jesus and puts on like makeup, and just goes on about how like Jesus would have been gay, and how Peter was like this terrible
That's
evil
not
person.
new. That's not
And
new.
but it's so funny.
Just
And
one
his name's,
line.
like, Jesus.
Just one line. John laid his head on Jesus' shoulder as they were sitting at the table. And
I know it's us.
so anyway, let's move forward. So have you ever been asked how you know the New Testament is reliable? Yes.
So
Yeah, I doubt any of you have. Yes. You have?
Yeah.
Okay, what'd you say?
Well, I was at work over the summer, and this girl that I worked with, like, was and she was really nice. She had a lot of questions about Christianity, and when she found out I was a Christian, she made like for closing, and she was like, "So do you actually believe?" Her big thing was like she did not think that Jesus actually existed, like that he was like either a figment of everyone's imagination or that there's. Well, everyone has similar imagination. So I, you know, I was kind of that was the big thing we had to tackle first. Because she very much believed in God. She just didn't know how to get to him. And she didn't, you know, she didn't believe that Jesus existed. You know,
Right.
You can get to God. You know.
Well, back in the 1970s and into the 80s, that was a theory that he was a made-up character. But now there's just too much actual,
Yeah.
obvious.
That's what I told her.
Yeah.
She's a smart person. She's
Yeah,
not.
proof that Jesus.
I guess she wasn't like was really ignorant. She just didn't.
Yeah, Josephus, the historian, Roman historian, he was a Jew originally, but he ended up being the one of the greatest Roman historians of all time. And he tells this: he was not a believer, he was not a Christian, but he tells the same basic storyline as the Gospels. And I don't know if the Gospels were one of his sources, but they weren't. Even if they weren't his only sources. So that's an unbelieving story, an ancient historian telling the same basic story. So there really isn't anyone now that would say that has any learning at all that would say that Jesus never existed. That there wasn't a historical Jesus. It was a made-up story. And you've already read that it can't be a legend because it's far too early and written in a way that it wouldn't be a legend. Okay, so moving on from here, I'm going to give you the rest of the hour to work on the next thing you're going to read. So you're going to read pages 224 to 230, and you're going to do equip 1 through 8. And I will give you some time to work on your assignment this week. Not a lot, but here's your homework. Read 224 to 230. And then you're going to answer equip 1 through 8. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. If you finish early, you can work on your letter. If you Like